What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Renneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. We know we said we were going to take a little bit of a break, but we couldn't wait to get season 2 going. So here we are back in our newly renovated studio. We got some really big news for you guys today. Before we get into that, remember you can find us on Facebook. Please share the episode, Instagram, Twitter, and please subscribe on YouTube. If you prefer to listen to us, you can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google, or anywhere else you check out your podcast. To anyone looking to get their thoughts on the show, head to our website, www.thedawgspodcast.com. Click the link at the bottom of the page. Leave us a voicemail. We got one to play from Ireland today, so that's cool. This seems to be a big hit so far. We love getting them, so don't be shy. Tell us your thoughts, good, bad, anything you got to say, we want to hear. Lastly, a lot of people have been asking how they can support the show lately. If you'd like to help out, head over to glow.fm/dogs. Any little bit helps, any bit's appreciated. As you can see, any money we get from you guys or from anybody, we put back into the show. Try to make this, a better show for us and a better show for everybody. So everybody a little bit helps, and we really appreciate all that. So, as we said, we had some super exciting news. Going into season 2, the Dawgs have partnered with Manscaped. So the NFL draft season's right around the corner. It's possible that you might have Trevor Lawrence's haircut in your pants. That's why our partners at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have partnered with us to make sure you don't gamble on shaving your balls the same way you gamble on football. For all my draft geeks out there, we have an exclusive 20% off promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at manscaped.com. Use that promo code to get yourself a Lawnmower 3.0 or the Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with the lawnmower, as well as Crop Reviver. You put a little spritz on your bits, go about your day feeling a little bit better. Also comes with the Crop Preserver. Pack this on your jail purse, no more swamp. Also got the Shed. Keep all this stuff in there, and then it comes with a nice comfy pair of boxers, which I'm not going to show you because I'm wearing them, and nobody wants to see that. So
that's right.
And also a couple, if you're still questioning why you should look into these products, 91% of men think good grooming is essential to their professional success, as well as 96% of partners think bad grooming is a major turnoff.
I don't think you want to be with that 4% either. That 4% partnership sounds pretty awful.
Right.
I think the kids call those ratchets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so,
fair.
Again, get 20% off and free shipping with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com with promo code DAWGS. It's time to turn that team in your pants around with Manscaped.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about the Trevor Lawrence thing for everybody listening. I got more of the Troy Polamalu issue going on. Took care of that real good, though. That Lawnmower 3.0, that is a legit piece of equipment right there, guys.
And again, we wouldn't tell you to use stuff that we haven't used. As you can see, they sent us some kits. We tried it all out. I was like Mel Gibson and What Women Want, doing all the stuff in the bathroom, So, it's good stuff. Check them out, manscaped.com. We're super excited to be partnered with them, and we can't wait to see, what the future holds for this partnership. So we got an exciting episode today. It's the off season. Shouldn't be this much Browns news, but there's one particular guy who just can't seem to keep our quarterback's name out of his mouth. He likes that clickbait. I lied. Before we get into that, we have an interview from Ireland we wanted to play.
Oh, it's up to you. We can go either order you want to, man.
Let's go to the interview. Let's get Luke on here.
All right, yeah. So this is Luke sent us a voicemail.
How are you doing, boys? Big fan here from Ireland. 3 quick points I want to bring across. First, clear as day, Baker Mayfield is the guy for the Browns. Yes, there's better quarterbacks, but no, there isn't better system quarterbacks here. The numbers game means nothing for him. He's not going to have a 4,500 yard season. That's because he doesn't have to have a 4,500 yard season. Forget about the numbers, forget about the comparisons. He is the leader, and we need to accept that to move on. Second, talking about the D-line, be great if we got Von Miller, be great if we got J.J. Watt, but how about we talk about Curtis Weaver coming off the edge? Claimed off Miami, didn't play this season, but coming out of college, looked like a sack monster, could play a big role in this team. Lastly, I want to talk about the draft. What do you think about what we're going to do linebacker-wise? Because personally, I don't see this team valuing linebacker a whole lot. I don't see him paying one. Do we look to get a bit quicker and a bit younger? Or do we bring back the vets we currently have. Thanks, guys.
I do agree with them about the linebacker take. It does seem like where they want to focus is the secondary and up front. And then the linebacker, section of the field is just kind of like, let's fill it with competent, capable players, and go that route.
One thing, firstly, I want to say thanks for calling in from Ireland. That's freaking awesome. So we really appreciate that. I agree. I've actually done a lot of reading where this organization doesn't put a lot of value into that middle linebacker position, which kind of pains me to say because I feel like it's one of our biggest weaknesses. But I would not be shocked if we don't go middle linebacker in the first round. I'm not going to be shocked. I see us going if we're going to go best available, either probably corner or edge rusher. That's what I would imagine we're going to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think linebacker definitely has to be one of your biggest needs going into the draft because, it doesn't look like there's anybody out there that the Browns are after free agent-wise that they're looking at that position. And it is kind of crazy. Browns, we've been bad, but normally, we've had a good or a decent middle linebacker. We've had Joe Schobert for however many years before we let him just walk, and we had DeQuell Jackson before that. I mean, we've always, had a leader there at that position, so it's kind of a different thing seeing with this current Browns roster.
Yeah, so you want to talk about Curtis Weaver real quick?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest. I didn't know who this guy was.
Well, and and I think a lot of people listening probably would say the same thing if you're not too, and the reason is he's injured. We didn't see him all year.
Nobody's seen him.
Yeah, nobody's seen him. So there was no reason for us to really know his name. Okay, so he was a 5th-round pick last year by the Dolphins. He was injured. They had to put him on injured reserve, and so they, to clear a roster spot, they had to waive him. And they were hoping that he was going to get through waivers,
yeah.
And then that way they'd be able to put him on their practice squad. He did not make it through waivers because the Browns jumped all over it and picked him up.
I also saw the Rams were interested in him also.
Yeah.
Not to slam this guy. So I think there's concerns about his weight. Miami's kind of said that.
What are the concerns?
He's just
undersized.
Undersized. Okay.
Well, I think he was 6'3",
265.
Yep. And then the other thing I saw was, he played in the Mountain West at Boise State, and he had, career highs in sacks. But is the competition for an offensive line that the guys you're going against, are they that great? I mean, obviously it's not Power 5, and Boise State's a big program.
If you look at every NFL roster, there's a lot, especially up front, linemen that come from these kinds of teams. I mean, Joel Bitonio is from Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So to me, he might be really good. He was Defensive Player of the Year in the Mountain West. So obviously he's got some skill. He can play football. Yep. But do I want to rely on this guy? No. Do I want to say he's solidifying the position for us? No. To me, it seems almost like he's going to be a project, a guy, that we're going to have to bring along, see what he's got. I definitely think the Browns need to address the situation with somebody that's more of a known commodity, somebody that we know we can plug and play, and then bring this guy along. Maybe this guy can be a depth guy. But I just don't think the Browns can count on him right away.
Plug and play. What, you got a name in mind?
Probably a few.
Outside backer. Man, I haven't done
I know we've been talking a lot about J.J. Watt.
Yeah, there's
but he's more D tackle.
What's that?
But he could play on the outside. That's what I like about him is, you can plug and pretty much play him anywhere on your line. You can move him around because that's what he's had to do his whole career because if he lines up the same spot, they're going to double team him the same two guys the entire game. Another guy on the outside that's, name's been thrown out there, Von Miller. No, he got hurt last year. He's getting a little bit older, but veteran leadership, probably a great locker room guy.
He's in trouble with the law right now, I think.
He is.
I didn't see anything about him being in trouble with the law, but
I'm going to pull that up real quick.
When he was healthy in Denver, he was the difference maker. They had the best defense in the league for a few years, and he was the, focal point of that defense. Talking a little bit about the draft, you have 2 of the top 6 prospects coming into the draft, according to WalterFootball.com, was 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. Baron Browning, inside linebacker, was ranked 5th, and then Pete Werner was ranked 6th.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you the Browns aren't drafting any Buckeyes because that's just not what we do for some reason.
Hey, Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
A couple other, big names that are out there. Micah Parsons from Penn State is projected to go first round. He didn't opt back in for Penn State as of February 13th, so he's looking like he's going back going in the draft. Zaven Collins out of Tulsa, projected a first to second round pick, and then you got Chaz Surratt. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right. I guess we'll learn some more.
Chaz is going to be pretty ticked off.
Out of North Carolina, he's projected a second to third round pick. So really, there's not a whole lot of guys, not great talent that right now is projected. Now they haven't had their pro workouts, stuff like that. We haven't seen. And things are going to be different because there's no live combine this year. So some stuff's going to be different, but they don't really have a whole lot of linebackers in like that first to second round where you're like, oh, there's 4 or 5 guys you could just take it, put them in a hat, pull one out. You're going to be happy with what you get.
I think the one I've heard the most about is the Collins guy out of Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's the guy I've heard the most about as far as middle linebacker. I think he's a middle linebacker. Is he an edge?
He inside.
Okay. So, but again, are the Browns going to go middle linebacker in the first round? I don't know if that. Now it's the 26th pick, not the 10th. So how much value do they put on the 26th pick? Are they willing to spend that on a middle linebacker? And I don't know, but to me, I get the feeling that we're looking elsewhere for that position.
One thing that's so interesting this year about picking 26 is that's the area of the first round where people start to fall. We don't usually pick in the area where people fall. You know what I mean? We're usually picking where we got to get the right guy early, and it's going to be different this year.
I think, and can we all agree that it's, we're probably not taking an offensive lineman this year. No. like we're almost, like we do in almost every draft.
Would you guys agree also that B.J. Goodson and Malcolm Smith are both out? I think that they're probably both going to they're both going to be free agents.
Let me throw a name out there for you. The Packers just released Kirksey.
Yeah.
Would you bring him back? If you can get him cheap, maybe.
I was going to say, right now, with you just asking that question without having done any real thought or research about it, I think so, man. I mean,
when he's on the field, he's a solid linebacker.
Yes.
The problem is he's just almost never on the field.
I think he played 7 games last year, just something like kind of off the top of my head.
It was 7 or 9, somewhere in there. But
he was solid for the Browns, though. Until the last year.
He was, but with the injury concerns that we fought through last year on defense, I see what you're saying. Do you want to bring in another injury waiting to happen?
He's a good leader. Good locker room guy. So, like you said, I think it would all depend on the deal, and it depends on is there somebody else out there that we could get that's better without the injury concerns?
Right.
Like Levante David.
I see.
I don't think he's coming, but that'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
Yannick Ngakoue is a free agent this offseason as well.
He's going to get paid big money, though.
Yeah, I know, and that was kind of the Njoku trade with the Jaguars last year that was being floated around that didn't go through. But yeah, I mean, as far as Curtis Weaver, though, I think what you said, Justin, originally. He's a project. I think that having him in the back pocket, like we got him for free, basically. So cool. If he pans out to be something great or a nice depth piece, awesome. But we cannot rely on that, as a stronghold of our defensive line.
No, because again, the Browns are very much in their Super Bowl window.
Yes.
So they got to hit on these moves, and they got to do it now, because hopefully we're still good 5 years from now, but we might not be contenders 5 years from now.
No, and it's an interesting point. I don't know if we plan on talking about it or not, but the way these quarterbacks are kind of making their demands in the league right now, I think that's going to help us with Baker as far as the money against the cap and all that kind of stuff.
Are you saying like when his next contract comes around?
Yes.
I don't even know if we know that yet. Like Baker could come out in the year and be like, "Listen, I'm franchise and I want money." No, is that what we're saying?
What I'm saying is, okay, so the Eagles, they paid Carson Wentz all the money,
right?
Yeah.
And look how that worked out. And then the Rams did that with Goff. Mm-hmm. That didn't work out. And Watson got paid. Now he wants out. So I think it's kind of driving down that market value of a franchise quarterback. If it's like, hey, if these guys are just going to start demanding their way out after we paid them all this money to be our franchise guy, then we're not going to pay him all this money to be a franchise guy.
Yeah, I think we're getting, it kind of stings for the Browns because you're kind of going to get in that scenario of, okay, the front office and your GMs are seeing that, right? They're seeing Goff didn't work out. Wentz didn't work out. We gave him all this money. Then we had to try to find
Look
somebody
what
who
happened with
wanted.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, we had to find somebody who wanted to take on that contract. So front office wise, you might be thinking, man, we really don't want to be in that position. But then if you're the player and you're Baker Mayfield and you're thinking, man, I just had a great year. If I followed up this year, I want that. I want that long-term contract. I want that money. I don't want to hear, that, we can't do that because of the situation they'll put the team in. Maybe
Now, so
it'll be interesting.
Because you gotta have to play hardball when you're doing this contract stuff. I think if we're offering Baker Mayfield money right now, statistically he was a middle of the road quarterback. I mean, we think he played great. I thought he played great. He had a good season for the Browns, but he's middle of the pack and literally, except for like INTs second half of the season, yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, he's 15th or lower in like every major statistical category. So how much money can you really demand? And you're only worth what the market tells you're worth. So if Baker wants $35 million a year and we say no, is he going to go somewhere else and get it? He's not going somewhere else and getting it. So.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point, too, I was trying to make. Yeah, the market, I think, is going to be all different now because of the way some of these other teams have invested so heavily in their quarterbacks, and the return has not been there.
I think Baker's highest value is with the Browns. I think if he were to leave the Browns, it would diminish greatly. So we can kind of be like, bro, we're not giving you $35 million, but there's nobody else.
No, and one thing, though, with Baker compared to some of the other names that we've just mentioned, the winning mentality with him, I kind of see it more in line with like what Tom Brady's career has been, where he's been taking more team-friendly deals because he just wants to win. He knows, give me longevity of my career. I'll make money. I want to win.
Exactly.
The thing that helps Tom is his wife makes way more money than he does.
Right.
Being the model.
And he's not a broke joke either. He's doing okay.
Right. Yeah. So, but I agree that I think that the market is going to change. So what do you think? Throw out a number. I know we're not really in talks about extending him at this time, but what do you think? What do
28.
you think?
28.
I was going to say 25.
25. What do you think, Josh?
Honestly,
I have to look up some contracts. Honestly, I would say
it's probably be in that. That's where I think that they would go. The Browns are getting into that position where I know we've talked about like our Super Bowl window, and we have some money, but we got a lot of guys that we're going to have to pay in the upcoming years. Jarvis is really only under contract for next season? I think next season with him. Then you got Nick Chubb's going to need paid. Baker's going to need paid. So it'll be interesting how it all shakes out.
I think if the Browns are smart, they just pull the trigger on the 5th-year option.
And then franchise him after that.
Yeah.
Go the Dak Prescott.
Yeah, but then, there's
Washington
some
with Kirk
high-paid
Cousins.
top 5 quarterbacks out there.
That is it. Yes.
Thanks a lot,
Franchise
Patrick Mahomes. You ruined it for everybody.
Yep.
So, well, hey, thanks again, Luke, for calling in. And the first point you talked about how Baker was the right guy for the Browns, that kind of plays right into the segment we're going to get into today on this episode. I kind of alluded on this a little early. I was a little bit premature, as some people might say. Colin Cowherd put out a video segment. It was called Baker Mayfield or the Field, and essentially he went through and said, for the next 5 years, if I had no trade, no money, no picks, no nothing, it's just if I could have this guy or Baker, who would I want for the next 5 years? And I thought this was so laughable. I immediately sent it to you guys because I was like, this has to be. He clearly did this. Ratings must have dipped, and then he just needed something to get some clicks because this was awful. And we wanted to share with you guys, give our reactions to it. We want to hear your guys' reactions. So call in with your voicemails because I think we can't be the only ones that got heated when we heard this.
Yeah. So are we ready to get started here?
Yep, let's go.
All right, here goes number one.
Mayfield or the field. Here we go.
All right, Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson's won 80% of his games. Lamar Jackson does something better than any football quarterback in the history of the sport. Moves. This is not close.
It is close. It is very close. All I'll say is, we kind of talked about it earlier, he's electric running the ball. Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. He is. There is nobody else like him out there in the NFL. But I don't think you can really throw the ball. I think I've been saying that don't get me wrong, like when they're wide open, even me and Zach and Blake and Josh, we could probably throw a 15-yard,
Thing is,
20-yard.
even when they're wide open sometimes, I mean, we saw it against us.
They got to make great catches.
Yeah, they got to dive for it. I mean, we saw him against us. He overthrew multiple guys.
Well, week 1, I think, or when we played them, and didn't Mark Andrews one-handed catch?
Yep.
I mean, it was wide open, and the guy had to make a catch of the year in game 1.
And here's the thing, go ask all these receivers who play for the Ravens who are coming out and complaining about it.
Hollywood wants out. I read yesterday.
Des Bryant just said he's not going back.
So obviously Baker's very, very accurate. I would say way better passer. What's the pick then?
Yeah, and 80% of his games, right? That was the first argument. He's won 80% of his games.
Yeah.
Well, look what team he plays for. Look what coach he plays for. Look what system he came into.
Yeah.
The defense that they had. Are you kidding me? Baker Mayfield would have won 80% of his games.
Credit
in that
Baltimore.
system.
They built their team around that guy.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying, they had the defense in place. They had the head coach. They had the culture. They had everything.
Absolutely.
We had none of that.
Did Lamar come into a team that just went 1-31?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
and fired their head coach halfway through his rookie season, and
yeah. So don't give me the Wentz thing. That's ignorant. Mitchell Trubisky has won a ton of games. You taking Mitchell Trubisky over some? Mitchell Trubisky has won way more games than Justin Herbert. Who you taking, Colin?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he's on this list too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's this is gonna be an argument that we hear because it's in the division. Of going back and forth. Lamar, he is crazy talented in the way that he's able to play the game. Baker cannot play the game the way Lamar does. How long Lamar can play it, is kind of we just gotta wait and see because we've really never seen. I know like a Michael Vick used to run around, but Michael Vick could throw the football too.
Right.
He had a
So it's going to be interesting to see where if Lamar holds up, how long can he play at this type of a level where Baker, he just relies more on his throwing strength, his arm strength, being able to fit the ball in the tight pocket. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Baker's skill set is a little bit more valuable long term than Lamar's, but maybe like right now, next 2-3 years, barring an injury, is Lamar going to have maybe a bigger upside? Probably. I think.
Next 5 years, who you taking?
I said next. I said 3. I didn't go 5.
So if you had to pick right now for the next 5 years, you get Baker or Lamar.
Because this was 5 years, right?
Yes, it was 5 years.
Next 5 years.
To me, this is no question. I'm taking Baker.
I don't know if I'm taking Baker for the next 5 years.
2026. Who's your quarterback?
Hey, YouTube, please get off my back right now and let's jump on this because
I just don't know if for the next 5 years.
And here's the thing, Lamar
with our team, if you said that we were going to plug and play Lamar Jackson with our team or plug and play Baker, Lamar.
You think Lamar would do better on our team than Baker? He can't throw.
He'd be a third running back with a duo that we have already.
But he's already a third running back. They barely beat the Titans in the playoffs.
I don't know. I just don't think that it's Baker clearly wins this argument. I don't think it's close.
Clear.
I think all the people on this list, yes, the Lamar Baker argument is going to be a tight one. I think, but there's definitely some coming up here that, oh man.
Yeah, I think that this is a good argument piece here. The ones that we're going to get into, I don't think that you can make an argument for both candidates.
What are you thinking, Josh? What you got? You got some Baker?
Oh, for the next 5 years, Baker for sure. Okay. I have never been impressed with Lamar Jackson throwing the ball. I think everybody who listens to this show knows that.
And here's my thing. It's not like Baker is completely immobile. He's not, obviously, nobody's Lamar. But especially second half of the season, Baker showed good pocket presence. He moved around. We bootleg him almost every single pass. He can move enough. We solidified our win to go to the playoffs with a Baker Mayfield run.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far, Lamar's taken the Ravens to as many Super Bowls as Baker has the Browns, so.
Yeah. So, I'm going Baker.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this next one will be interesting, too. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert.
Not a GM in the league would take Baker over Justin Herbert. He's bigger. He's stronger. He was a 4-point student. He set every rookie quarterback touchdown record they've ever created, Herbert by a mile.
He was a 4-point student?
Yeah, what
the hell does that have to do with anything?
Right.
He's got a good GPA, bro.
Yeah.
Come on now.
So, obviously, I think Justin Herbert's really, really good.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, we thought Baker, was Justin Herbert
Before Justin Herbert, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he had a sophomore slump. I want to see Justin Herbert do what he just did. I want to see him do it another year now because now he's got another new coach. So he's getting the Baker treatment a little bit. He's going to have to learn another new offense.
And he started with Tyrod.
Yeah. And he's
definitely the Baker treatment.
So I want to see, before I'm just jumping on the Justin Herbert bandwagon, and don't get me wrong, he was amazing this year. Yep. He was way better than anybody thought he was going to be, I think. But I'm not taking a guy I'm not taking him over a Baker who I've seen kind of ascend, especially now that he's going to be in the same offense twice, for a guy who's only done it for one season and is now going to be on another coach, and we don't know how teams are going to play him once they have tape.
Okay, so my biggest take on this with Justin Herbert, one, I think that all of us were a fan of his rookie year. I think we all we enjoyed watching this kid play, and he was way better than what I think anybody thought he was going to be. Talent-wise, can Justin Herbert also do more things than Baker? Yeah, he's probably got a stronger arm. He can throw the ball downfield. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, yeah, he put up these huge numbers his rookie year, but he won 6 games.
And they're always throwing from behind.
Yeah, he only won 6 games. I mean, we've seen guys light up stats. I mean, Josh McCown used to light up stats for bad teams, and everybody's like, oh, man, this guy. But he was like 25% winning percentage in games that he started. So it'll be interesting. I think Justin Herbert's got, I know he's got a new coach, but you got Keenan Allen and you got Hunter Henry to throw to. Mike Williams, got Austin Eckler in the backfield. He's set up too to have a great offense year in, year out. Now, will it translate to wins? It's kind of.
Could you imagine with that offense though? Could you imagine if Baker was on that team and only won 6 games? What Cowherd would be saying about him?
My gosh. It'd be
unbelievable. It'd be unbearable.
Yeah. Yes.
It'd
be the same thing we went through. I mean, if you line up their offense with our offense, it's kind of similar, right?
Yes.
They got some good running backs, good wide receivers, a really good tight end.
And Baker won 11 games, 12 games with ours.
And their defense has, those couple really good playmakers. Yep. Ours kind of have the same thing. We're like the same, but Baker went to playoffs, won double-digit games. Justin Herbert won 6.
Yep.
I thought Justin Herbert was going to be such a big bust, too.
I did, too.
I really
did.
I thought he was going to be bust of the draft.
I didn't think he was going to be a bust, but I didn't see him being – he was
that
really
good,
freaking good.
That quick.
Yeah.
What he did is what I saw Burrow doing. That's what I thought Burrow was going to do this past year. And he might have if he hadn't gotten hurt. I don't know. He was looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But
you thinking Miami's thinking, man, did we make a mistake?
I bet they did.
I think they, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's the pick then?
For the next,
I'm going Baker.
Yeah.
5 years, Baker. Yeah.
I'm sticking with Baker.
Yep.
All right, here's a fun one.
Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr?
Last 2 years, Derek Carr is 101 passer rating. 3 times the TDs over picks. It ain't close. Derek Carr.
First of all, why is Colin always like voice squeak? It's Carr. But, okay, so again, same with Justin Herbert. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I'm not out here saying that Baker Mayfield is just like leaps and bounds better than all these people. But I also listened to Colin like the last month scream about how the Raiders need to trade for Deshaun Watson. So then don't turn around and tell me about how awesome Derek Carr is. You don't even want the Raiders to keep him.
No, Derek Carr, he is your prototypical average quarterback.
And I don't know,
I don't know how Colin can say it's not close.
Yeah.
Like to say that he's leaps and bounds ahead of Baker Mayfield. What are you talking about?
Right. Now, like Derek Carr, I like Derek Carr. I was a Derek Carr fan coming out of the draft. I wanted the Browns to get him when, I forget what year that was.
That was Johnny, wasn't it?
I think was that Johnny Manziel's year? We'd have to confirm that, but I can't remember. I wanted him.
I'll look it up.
I want him out of Fresno State. I'm pretty sure is where he was coming out of. But Colin likes to reference, this passer rating. He's been great, but what about winning football games? Yeah. The guys won, I think, 7 games 2 years ago or last season. Then they won 8 this year, and then Baker won 12.
His big argument for Lamar was that he won 80% of his games, but then with Herbert and Carr, he doesn't mention the fact that they've lost 70% of their games.
Right. So, and
cherry picks.
Yeah, this here. Especially going forward. Derek Carr, he's not old, but, I mean, age-wise, Baker Derek Carr 5 years from now, will he even be in the league?
Yep.
I mean, he might not even be. I mean, I'm not saying Derek Carr's not talented. I mean, guy was going to be in it. He was almost a shoo-in to win MVP a few years ago before he got hurt.
Yep.
And to be honest, they've never really surrounded him with a great roster. I feel like
He's got okay. He's got
great tight end.
He got
a great tight end and then running back. He's got a good running back, but then like wide receiver, all they care about is
speed.
Is that guy really fast?
Yeah,
that's who we want. So that's an interesting. But I'm going Baker there.
I think you touched on the injuries too. Baker we've seen him be super solid through injuries. Even when he does get hurt, he just still plays.
Right.
2014 draft. Yeah. So Johnny Manziel, Cleveland Browns, 22nd pick. Derek Carr to the Raiders at 36.
Oh, my gosh.
That was also the same draft that OBJ went 12th and Jarvis Landry went 63rd.
Right.
Wow. What a draft that was.
Let's just not lie that we didn't mess it up badly for my whole life.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. Johnny Manziel, Josh Gordon.
back together.
Back together again. And I thought it was interesting on our Twitter page, there were some fans that were talking about that, being like, Brett, don't talk about these guys like reuniting. These guys held back our franchise for how many years, and we just like kept giving them chances,
Off topic, but did you see Johnny Manziel after the first game? He was like, I felt really out of shape, but win or lose, we booze. And I was like, well, there's
Same
Johnny.
Hasn't changed. There's Johnny. Good old Johnny.
Yep.
Yikes. Okay, so are we going Baker on the table? Is anybody taking Carr?
I'm sticking with Baker.
I'm
Baker
with Baker. Yeah.
All right.
Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo.
Now, this is the rub, right? Oh, well, Jimmy gets hurt a lot. I'm not disputing that. And that worries me. But the Niners are awful without him, and we know their roster's good and Shanahan's good. I'd take Garoppolo for the next 5 years and roll the dice on his health.
For this was when I turned the video off, and then I had to go back and watch it because I am not high on Jimmy G at all. I think he is a below average at best quarterback. Their offensive roster is not that great. So when he says, we know their roster's good, they got Kittle, and then what?
I think they got 5 or 6 running backs that can just absolutely.
That's the thing. As far as
none of their running backs are standout running backs.
No, but they don't need them to be.
No, they just have a good running system.
That's just a product, of the Kyle Shanahan system.
Exactly. None of their running backs are studs.
Debo and Ayuk almost play running back from a different position on the field.
Yep.
So now that you say that, I wonder, are they actually that good, or is it just another product of the system? And everybody's always hurt out there. Always.
And the argument that, if he goes down, the team's awful around him. Well, what do you think would happen in Cleveland?
Or any team.
Yeah.
Look what happened to Dallas.
Yeah, no kidding.
You lose your quarterback, you're probably going to suck.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And Jimmy G, I mean, he's just they don't love him out there.
No.
If there was anybody else that they could get, they would be making.
Wait till the draft comes up, because they might be.
Yeah.
Well, they were looking. I'm pretty sure they're at a certain time that they were thinking. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Goff
Stafford.
or Stafford. Yeah, that's who it was. It was in that time that they were interested in him.
There's Watson talk too.
And
yeah, I mean, and you got look at Jimmy G in the teams that he's played on. Yes, and you look at his win-loss, it's really good.
Played for the Patriots.
Played for the Patriots, who had one of the best. I'd say I'd have to look up the stats, but probably a top 5 defense when he was there. Mm-hmm. Then he went to San Francisco, and when they made their Super Bowl run, guess what? Their defense was like the best in the league.
Still really good.
The best ever. Yeah.
So I mean, if you're gonna have a quarterback out there that he's gonna look really good when his defense is giving up 9 points a game.
Yeah, and the fact he gets hurt a lot, but I'm going to roll the dice. Well, good luck, Colin, because CJ Beathard's going to be your quarterback 3 games in.
Yeah, you're going to be flip-flopping between him and Nick Mullins
because Jimmy Garoppolo cannot stay healthy.
No.
The first year they got him, he played 5 games and was gone. Last year, gone.
He was hurt in New England too, because remember, Jacoby Brissett had to start a game or two when Brady was hurt that one, or he was suspended that one year. I forget what Brady was suspended.
Oh, yeah.
Garoppolo was supposed to be the starter, then he got hurt. So that's when Brissett that's when we learned about him and got to know who Jacoby Brissett was.
Yeah. He's had an injury history literally his entire career.
Uh-huh.
So this Jimmy G one, this is where I was like, okay, Colin.
The Derek Carr one had me like, okay, he's an idiot. And then this, you're right. The Jimmy G, I'm like, Okay, come
I'll
on
at least
now.
listen to arguments with Justin Herbert and Derek Carr
Yeah,
because I think
I
both of
agree.
those quarterbacks are good quarterbacks.
They're talented.
Yes.
Confident.
I don't think Jimmy G is that talented. I think he's just a pretty face that people like in Hollywood.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Tell him how you really feel.
He's got
He'll
quarterback
be he'll be sponsored by Manscaped at some point. in the
Nice plug.
future.
Way to go with the plug.
Oh, geez. Well, it only gets better from here on
Baker
out.
Mayfield or Matt Ryan.
MVP, Super Bowl, multiple playoff wins. Matt Ryan's 35. He's not 39. Now, if I sign him for 5 years, the last year may be nonsense. I'll make a prediction. Matt Ryan with Arthur Smith, the coach, is going to have 2 really good years. He finally gets an offensive coach. We're all going to like Matt Ryan by November again. I know we're all out on Matt. Watch by November. We're all going to be back in the Matt Ryan fan club.
Okay, so one, don't tell me that you think he's going to be so much better with his new coach you didn't even know his name.
Right.
This new coach
Thanks,
is really going
Joy.
to revitalize his career. Arthur
Treacher.
Like, come on now. Second, Matt Ryan was one of these guys where if Baker continued, in my opinion, to not play great throughout the season, I was interested in bringing him in.
I was going to bring that up.
But
Yeah.
Baker, the way he played the last 6-7 games, is better than anything Matt Ryan's done the last couple years since the Super Bowl run.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. So he went to the Super Bowl. He won. He won an MVP 5 years ago, 2016. We're a long way removed. I mean, or half a decade removed from that.
And what happened in that Super Bowl, Colin?
Yeah, it's got a big lead and then couldn't finish.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's still one of the craziest games I've ever watched.
and
It's insane.
Matt Ryan, he's a guy who's won 18 games in his past 3 seasons. That's it. 18 games. Baker won 12 this year.
Yep.
So when you look at that and you think about the guys that Matt Ryan gets to throw to, Julio Jones, I know he's hurt, but Calvin Ridley, they just bring in Hayden Hurst, a good tight end.
They had Hooper.
Todd Gurley, wasn't bad this year. Kind of resurfaced as okay, he could be a good running back in the NFL again once he left LA. So I just don't like this argument that you're going to take Matt Ryan at ages 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 over Baker, who's going to be just getting into the prime of his career.
That's completely my argument.
Yeah, I mean-
I like me some Matt Ryan a lot, but 5 years ago.
Yeah.
If it was, hey, 5 years, not 5 ahead. Yeah.
Right. And I saw at different times this year with Matt Ryan that he is Colin thinks that he's going to be this great, we're going to love him. I think we're going to be talking about, can Matt Ryan still be able to throw the football? There was times this year in games where I'd be watching them and I was like, I don't know if he can make that deep cross over the middle throw anymore.
He's very lucky he plays in a dome.
Yeah. Like there's times this year where I felt like how we talk about a Drew Brees at times where you're like, I just don't know if he can make those throws downfield like he used to be able to.
Baker.
Yes.
Yeah, Baker.
Like, to me, this one's not even close.
No.
It might have been close 6 months ago. It's not close now.
No, it's not. Next one, maybe a little.
Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. Kyler does some things spectacularly. He's not there yet, but he had a big jump rookie year to last year.
What do you think, Sooners?
Oh,
one's-
I mean,
this one's-
this is
I don't-
tough because
I know-
Kyler can obviously run the football. He's very quick. His size, he's very limited. He has to almost roll out just to be able to throw the ball over his lineman. He's got a great arm, baseball background, so you know that he can really, sling the football around. I think that Kyler will be hurt more by being in a Cliff Kingsbury system. I'm just not sold on him as a coach. I think Kyler might have been able to do a little bit more if he had somebody else calling plays for him. I just don't know if that system really fits there. Kyler's surrounded by talent too. I mean, Christian Kirk's a good wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins. You got Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds in the backfield. So I mean, they got weapons out there. But he's I don't know if I think Baker can be more accurate than what Kyler can be, and that'd be my argument there for Baker. Is Kyler's shown that he could light you up one game and then go 12 for 26 the next game.
Who was your favorite quarterback for Oklahoma?
Oh, Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
No, it wasn't even. No, I really liked Kyler, and I've been kind of blessed being an Oklahoma Sooner fan. We've gone from Baker to Kyler to Jalen Hurts. But yeah, Baker by far was, and most Oklahoma fans like not just in my family, but other people that I know, Baker is by far their favorite.
So to me, like you pointed on, Kyler Murray will have a great game, and then his next 2 games are awful.
Yeah.
And he started off the season really hot. They came out and they beat the Niners right at the beginning of the season? Wasn't that and it was kind of like, oh man, maybe the Cardinals are good. They fell off. Yeah. And it's almost like people started to kind of figure him out. And I think statistically he still had a pretty decent season. But that happens when you throw for 351. If you throw for 350 every other game, you're going to have a decent season. But I need you to be good for all 16 weeks.
Yeah, and that's the thing about looking at season stats. You don't see the consistency or inconsistency of a player throughout the year. You got to look at the game by game.
He had some awful games. There were some games where he was putrid.
Yeah, and also going to throw out there, just maybe to a little bit of Kyler's defense, Brown's playing a tough division, so does he. I mean, he's got to play the 49ers twice. He's got to play the Seahawks twice. He's got to play the Rams twice. I mean, those are some tough defenses that they're throwing at you.
Yeah, but Seahawks and San Fran's defenses this year were...
Well, they were just injured, obviously.
San Francisco's obviously because of injury. The Seahawks defense just isn't that great.
Yeah, no, and we're starting to kind of see maybe that's a Pete Carroll thing that some players don't, typically like his style or the way, his family is involved.
Which is crazy because for a long time he was considered as like the best players coach. Everybody wanted to play for him.
Yeah.
But he's getting old though too.
Yeah, he's getting old. So, but I think I think it's close. I think Kyler, obviously, he could come out and be an MVP candidate, if he could put up those stat lines if they're winning games. But they got to win games, I feel like, for him to be in that consideration. So I'm going Baker here, but this one's closer than some of the other ones we've just discussed.
I'm going Baker, and I'm just not super, super high on Kyler right now. I mean, I think he has potential.
You're a little salty from you picked him how many times this year and they lose.
Yeah, every game. He should have a really solid game this week, and it'd be one of his 11 for 38 performances. But no, I'm going with Baker with this one. And me saying I'm not high on Kyler, I think he has a high ceiling. I just haven't seen him.
High.
Yeah, I've never been super high on Kyler either, and the size does factor into that for me. And yeah, Baker on this one too. Now this next one. Yeah, I don't know.
Baker Mayfield or Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott. Baker's a better pure thrower of the football. I think Dak's a better athlete. I think he's more mature. I feel there is sort of in the locker room, he's loved by everybody. I think Baker's got some critics inside that locker room.
So I want to point on one thing first. Colin, you can't just make stuff up just for clicks. Give me one example of somebody in a Baker locker room, whether it be high school, college, or now the pros, where there's been somebody who has a problem with Baker. If anything, it's they love Baker Mayfield. Right. People love playing with Baker.
Yeah, you know what you're getting in Baker. He's not a fake guy, and his personality. He's matured, but he's still the same guy that he's been since he was back in college.
Yeah.
So, I disagree with that 100%. Now, I'm not disagreeing that I wouldn't take Dak Prescott for the next 5 years.
Bro, I'm not sure that
the
injury-wise,
that would be my biggest question mark was just coming off this injury. Because it's not just like your normal broken ankle, that he's coming off of. So, it'll be interesting to see. But, arm talent-wise, we saw what Dallas was without him. Dallas, I mean, they were terrible without Dak Prescott. With Dak Prescott, they're a playoff team probably this year.
He gets a lot of empty stats though. Even before he got hurt, he was like leading the league in passing and stuff. But it's because their defense was so bad. So he was throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game against prevent defenses. So I mean, there's a reason they haven't paid him yet. That's all I think Dak is good, but they've had a chance to lock him up now for 2-3 years and they won't do it. So there's a reason. They're seeing him every day in practice. They've now seen him with 2 different coaches. I personally I think he's good, but why won't they sign him?
Yeah, I love Dak Prescott. I do. I think he's a great quarterback, but I'm going to agree with you, Zach, on for the next 5 years, concept of this argument. I don't know. Got to see him off of this injury. Right now, Baker looked very good at the end of the season, and he's not coming off an injury. So I think I would have to take Baker. For the next 5 years.
Honestly, just on a whim, I'm saying Dak just because he's so good.
And he's a great guy, too, Dak.
And it's, I don't know.
He'd
And
be
I-
a
it
great
pains me to
locker
say
room
that.
guy.
This
yeah.
is the one through this whole list where I'm like, but I do really like Dak. I
There
do.
Right.
There was this one and another one where I was like, I could see it.
Yeah, so
I'm just
we
not
gotten
sure
to
that
it yet
he's
or
going to be
not?
the same
Yeah,
guy.
could you imagine we were having this conversation though, if this was real?
Like,
Yeah,
I think I know who your guy is.
I think Browns fan gave a lot of flack if it was Deshaun or Baker. Which one you were going to take? Dak Prescott coming? And what if Dak said, "I'm signing with Cleveland," and they had to make that decision? How many Browns fans do you think would still say we want Baker over Dak Prescott?
I mean, statistically, he's like a top 3 quarterback the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and that
The thing is,
other than last year, it
he
was
has
garbage
been
time.
good since his rookie year. So he's been good every year that he's been in the league.
I mean, he was so good. Tony Romo had gotten hurt, and then Tony Romo, all he did was take his team to the playoffs the last 2 years, and he couldn't get his starting job back.
Yeah.
Right.
He had to go to the booth.
Yeah.
Start doing Corona commercials.
Yeah.
Right.
He's very good in the booth, though.
Yeah, I golf a little bit here and there.
I'll go Dak.
I'm going Dak in this one. But it wouldn't surprise me if after this year, if we see that, you'd be really taking a gamble. Right now, what you're getting from Baker.
Yeah.
He's not injury prone. Dak, he takes a lot of big hits. Can he still run the football? Can he still extend plays like he used to?
I'm not as worried about the injury history.
No, because he doesn't have an injury history. This is, getting your ankle broken like that, that's
but here's
kind of one of those freak things.
I'm just not that concerned with coming off injury. Adrian Peterson almost broke the single season rushing record off an ACL injury tear, and that was years ago. We're even further ahead in medical stuff. Injuries don't scare me the way that they used to.
No, and I don't think he had ligament or tendon damage, right? I think it was bone, right?
I think.
If I'm not mistaken. I'm sure
I
somebody
mean,
will
I
correct
know
me,
his
but-
foot was pointing the wrong direction, so
Yeah.
that makes me a little concerned. I'm not a doctor or anything, but
I always hear
something tells me that
They
you
always
should
say
go to the
what
hospital.
a clean break is better than a
tear.
a tear or a partial
Hey.
fracture or something. Like clean break.
If there's any
Set it.
doctors out there, reach out.
Right.
Because we're stupid. We don't know. We didn't go to college for that.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Baker Mayfield or Ryan Tannehill?
Close, but I saw a stat. Let me give you this. Ryan Tannehill had the second highest passer rating in the last 20 games to Aaron Rodgers. I know we all don't like Ryan Tannehill, but unlike Baker, he doesn't have 2 great tight ends. He doesn't have the greatest offensive line. Ryan Tannehill, I got to be honest with you, often plays trailing because of that crappy defense. Tannehill's probably the most underrated quarterback in the league today.
Okay.
The Titans
2
only
top
had
tight ends. Who's this? Who's the second top tight end on the Browns?
Yeah, and the Titans' crappy defense. Ryan Tannehill plays from behind because the Titans' crappy defense. They only had a crappy defense this year.
Yeah.
Coming into this season, their staple was
Their defense.
they had a very good defense.
Yeah, and I mean,
And you're forgetting, he doesn't have the greatest offensive line. He doesn't. No, he also hands the ball to Derrick Henry 40 times a game.
Yep.
yeah. I think this argument, I think Ryan Tannehill and Baker are very similar in what they do. for
Tannehill's
each of
probably
their
more
teams.
athletic.
Yeah, I
but-
think that they're very similar in what they can do for each team. They're both, they're not gonna. They can beat you throwing the ball, but really, they have a good running game that goes with it. I think that these two compare a lot, but I think that everybody's kind of forgetting who Ryan Tannehill was before he came to Tennessee.
That Miami guy.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he was there for what, I think 6 years, and he had to play with Adam Gase as his coach for, a majority of that. But, man, I can't see taking Tannehill over Baker. I don't think I could personally do that.
Going into that fifth year or whatever, he would be 37. And
he's old too. I mean, it's crazy.
It doesn't
Some of
matter
these-
anymore, apparently, like if you're Aaron
Right.
Rodgers or Tom Brady. But, I mean, some of these other guys, they're not Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. So
Right.
I'm not really sold on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, and yeah, he's definitely benefited by having Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
The
If you're a defense,
guy almost runs for 2,000 yards
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah, they don't have a great offensive line, but Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing every year.
Yeah. And they had Conklin.
Yeah, so their offensive line's not awful.
Right, and let's talk about defense. Okay, their crappy defense. Oh, ours was awesome.
Stellar. Stellar.
Let me
One
tell
of the
you.
best.
Let me tell you, our defense was top notch when it came. If you were, I'd take ours over the Titans every day of the week.
Psych.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I mean, didn't we play the Titans this year and didn't Baker dice them up?
Yes.
And until, Tannehill was.
Oh, and what did we do? We took Derrick Henry out of the game, made Tannehill have to try to beat us.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Nope. Give me Baker.
All day, every day, and twice on Sundays.
Yep, I'm going Baker for sure.
I agree.
Baker or Kirk Cousins?
Close. I would take the maturity and the accuracy of Kirk Cousins. I don't think there's a huge gap. Kirk drives me nuts in big games, but Baker doesn't have a history of winning a lot of big games either.
There were a couple this year.
Yeah.
He
Won a playoff
the
game.
whole second half of the season.
Yeah. This is another one where I listen to Colin a decent amount, and all he ever does is talk crap about Kirk Cousins, and then it comes time to say who we take, Kirk or Baker. Oh, Kirk, I can see some things I like in Kirk. I mean, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Like, come on. There's no way you're taking
the maturity and the accuracy of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Like, okay, he's a nice guy. He's mature and he's accurate. Baker is just Kirk Cousins, like, amplified, like better in every aspect.
And Kirk Cousins has won the big games. What ones?
Yeah.
Really, nothing monumental stands out in my memory.
I mean,
Washington
I think two. I think the Diggs pass on the sideline against
that
the
wasn't
Saints.
Cousins, was it?
No,
Wasn't
that was
Keenum?
Keenum.
Oh, that was Keenum.
Yeah.
Keenum.
And then
I
what
thought it
about
was Cousins as well? So
what about the one to Rudolph against? Was it the Saints again?
Now that I think was Cousins.
yes,
That's a big time throw.
yeah. I mean,
That's a big
Kirk
time
Cousins is talented. I mean, he was.
I think he gets a lot of flack.
He was the highest paid quarterback, right, at one point in time when he got
Yes.
that deal to go to Minnesota.
I think people are unjustly too hard on Cousins. That being said, I'm not taking him over
His
Baker.
stats are crazy good, bro.
Yeah, okay, Cousins is going to put up big numbers.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's compare the two teams that we're on right now. Who do you think is more likely to be your Super Bowl contender, the Minnesota Vikings or the Cleveland Browns? I think more people would say the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Okay, and our defense was trash. Minnesota's defense is trash. But offensively, don't tell me that Kirk Cousins doesn't have weapons. He's got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr. I mean, he's got guys to throw the football to. So, he's going to put up numbers, and they're playing from behind in most games. And I'll give it to Kirk that he's got, almost like a comeback gene that you'll look and they'll be down like 35-10, like at halftime. Then fourth quarter, it's like 35-28 because the other offense just played Browns football and stopped trying to score. But I'm going Baker here. I think that Baker is better suited where he's at. I think that you got to put him in the perfect situations too. But I think I'm taking Baker.
I like this. I like this comparison because of, you had the Stefanski influence in both of these guys. You have the run-first offense, the really good, backfield, double-headed backfield. You can kind of plug good different guys in there. And it's a good argument, but for me, it's clearly Baker because his ceiling, I don't think we've seen yet. And at this point, we know what Kirk Cousins' ceiling is. It's not like all of a sudden he's going to come out and be like, whoa, I didn't know Kirk Cousins had that extra 3 levels. No, he doesn't. We've seen it.
Right. And I'm not sure how old Kirk Cousins is.
He'll be 37 also. Another
in 5 years?
37.
In 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I kind of put Kirk Cousins in the same boat as I almost do Derek Carr. I think that, big arms, going to make some flashy plays, but I'm not taking either one over Baker for the next 5 years.
Correct.
All right.
Baker or Tua?
I'd take Baker. I don't know if Tua can play. I don't see a lot of special with Tua. I think the Dolphins have questions. I think Baker's got a little more it factor.
Wow, Colin.
Yeah, so we don't got to spend a ton of time on this one because we agree. To me, this is, at least from what I saw, this isn't close. Tua, I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I mean, I don't like to bail on guys after one season, but
You got Josh Rosen. There's these guys go in the first round and usually high too all the time. Was it EJ Manuel and Smith? What was his first name? Out of West Geno Smith and Jamarcus Russell.
Oh.
Hey, when you don't pan out, you don't pan out.
Right, and Tua, I liked watching him in college. He was a fun player to watch in college. But let's look back at the history and I get to watch a lot of Alabama games thanks to my wife being a Tide fan. So
Your wife.
Let's look at some of their quarterbacks that they've had, right? Okay, so you look at like an A.J. McCarron. In college, he was really good. Was he really good, or did he throw to five-star wide receivers? Had a great offensive, like NFL offensive line,
Probably a Heisman Trophy running back,
an NFL defense, and and a great running back. So are those quarterbacks? They almost never pan out.
It's like Ohio State.
Name me an Alabama quarterback that's really good in the NFL right now.
I heard this argument on another show the other day too, and they were talking about Tua. And it was like, okay, look at last year's wide receiver core for Alabama. You had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith was like the 4.
Couldn't get on the field.
Kidding me?
He was like, Coach, just let me return punt so I get to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that's a very valid argument.
Yeah, so I like Tua. I hope that I think he'd be exciting if he could be like a Russell Wilson type of a guy, but I just don't know. And it seems like Miami's already given up on him, and that's
not going to help his psyche. No. I mean, when you got to bring in a closer, quarterback, come on. I mean, whatever. All right.
Quarterback by committee in Miami.
I don't think it's going to work.
No. Baker or Joe Burrow?
I think Burrow's really special. I thought Burrow would be a good NFL quarterback. I think I made a mistake. I think he's really, really special.
I think that was the most intelligent thing he said the whole time. Because I do think Joe Burrow is.
Was that your guy?
Very special.
No. Okay. This is the one I thought was your one on this list.
So I'm still taking Baker over Joe Burrow.
Are you?
Joe Burrow hasn't played a full season in the NFL yet.
This is true.
His leg is.
You know what I mean? He hasn't played a full season in the NFL. And we're talking about Dak's injury. Burrow's injury wasn't good either.
Yeah.
And
his was a tear.
Yeah. And again, he got hurt before anybody had tape on him. Don't get me wrong. He looked like he was going to be really good. Mm-hmm. But again, we've seen quarterbacks show flashes and look like they're going to be really good until people got tape on them. So I'm not making my decision on the next 5 years over Joe Burrow's, 6 games?
Yeah.
So
mine here, I think Joe Burrow is more talented than Baker. I think that he's got a great arm. He's got a great ceiling. You know, we haven't seen Baker's ceiling, but right now it looks like Joe Burrow's ceiling might be a little higher than what Baker's is. But will Cincinnati be able to do anything with, that organization? Will they be able to do anything with Joe? Because they ain't going to let him go. I mean, he's going to have to leave after his rookie deal if he was going to, go anywhere. I think that they'll hold him back. He's going to put up godly numbers because he's just going to throw the ball the whole time and be down and losing in games playing in Cincinnati. So his numbers are going to be Justin Herbert-esque, jump off the page, set records, stuff like that, as long as he stays healthy. But right now, I'm not taking him over Baker. Maybe in 2 to 3 years, maybe we can have that conversation.
All right, we moving on?
Baker or Carson Wentz?
Carson's a much bigger, stronger, better athlete. This moment, a lot of people would go Baker, but I guess my takeaway is the only thing that scares people about Wentz is his contract. Everybody knows he was an MVP for 10 weeks 2 years ago. He was literally, when he had Frank Reich, the MVP of the entire league.
Again, this was one of those guys where I would have taken a chance on 6 months ago if Baker didn't prove it to me. There's no way anybody in their right mind right now is saying they're taking Carson Wentz over Baker Mayfield.
I think he's going to be very good with
I do think he's going to be. I think he's going to be good.
Like, comeback player of the year good.
But, right now, based on the seasons I just watched, like we talked about Matt Ryan's MVP, that was a long time ago for Carson. And he's gone through a lot in that short amount of time. And it's another guy who has a hard time staying healthy.
Yeah. So here with this one, I think that Carson Wentz going back to being with Frank Reich and being in that system is you're going to see the divot how that pays off. I think Doug Peterson, he's just, I don't know, he's like a quirky coach, wants to do some different things, and it worked when nobody knew what you were doing because you were calling plays that nobody's ever seen before, and then nobody wanted to play for you because you have no wide receivers. Carson Wentz had nobody to throw to. his last couple years. So, yeah, he's going to look terrible. He didn't have a Jarvis and an Odell to throw to, at the wide receiver position. He was thrown to guys who were a quarterback in college, and now they're a wide receiver, like a Greg Ward Jr. Yep. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think Indianapolis won big.
Oh, yeah.
There. You move on from Phillip Rivers. You gave it a shot, and now you're getting Carson Wentz.
It's a big upgrade.
And a comeback revenge tour.
And you gave up almost nothing to get him. Nothing of any real value.
Yep.
No, I would take Baker over Carson Wentz, too. I've never been a huge Carson Wentz fan. Now, I'm not going to say he's not a good player. He's a good quarterback, and he definitely had a good season. But you're right, Blake, the injury history. I mean, this is a guy that it's been consistent. You just kind of wait and see, like, hey, when's he going to get hurt this year? Because it's going to happen. And then just kind of the locker room questions that came out, with this whole deal about kind of the person he is and the way, I guess, he was interacting with the coaches or –
a lot of people seem to not like him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah, I don't know. And
it's like the Aaron Rodgers personality without the Aaron Rodgers talent.
I don't think anybody's really vibing in Philly right now, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are now because the coach is out, but
right.
I don't think anybody was like really.
I mean, they don't know who their quarterback is.
Well, so what was interesting is when Brady went to Tampa. I don't know if you guys saw any of this stuff. Like, Godwin gave him number 12 and he took number 14. Did you see about Wentz?
Oh, yeah.
So Wentz goes to Indianapolis and Michael Pittman Jr. was a rookie last year. Wide receiver has number 11. That's Carson Wentz's number. And I don't know who initiated the conversation, but basically Pittman told Wentz, yeah, I'm number 11. I'm not giving it to you.
I told these guys on Xbox, I wouldn't give up my number either.
I thought
now for Tom Brady, I get that. That's respect.
For Tom Brady, but for literally
Carson
just
Wentz?
about anybody else, I'm not giving my number. It's my number.
I like the way A.J. Brown kind of looked at it. One, you wouldn't have to probably just give him up your number. You're probably getting a payday for giving him your number, okay? So I would take probably a nice paycheck of, $1 million or something here to just give you the number that I wasn't really overwhelmingly good in. It's not like I was a standout rookie and I'm not giving you. And A.J. Brown came out from the Titans and said, man, you might want to think about that because that's the guy who's going to be getting you the ball. That you might want to think twice about that because that guy's in charge of if you get the ball or not. So you might not be around to wear number 11 for much longer if he's not throwing you the rock.
And then that'll be available.
Right. So, I mean, in this situation, I think that the move going to Indy for Carson Wentz was great. I think something like that causes a little bit of divide in the locker room. Does a veteran, a couple of veteran guys like, hey, man, you got to give up that number. We just brought this guy in. We want to, make him feel at home. We want to win next year. And he's like, no, man, sorry. This is my number.
I would be that guy. There's no way I would give up my number to somebody like that.
Well, then I think they said that Carson, his response was, that's cool. I was just going to change mine anyway. Like, and who knows? Maybe the conversation was kind of ha-ha, he-he, whatever.
Right.
You read these reports and stuff gets so misconstrued.
Ha-ha, he-he, I hate you.
Yeah,
so who are you taking?
Accurate.
I don't think that. I think this is pretty close. Seriously,
I think it's close. I'm
Really?
taking Baker.
Yeah, I think it's very close.
I'm taking Baker now. Ask me again this
Next
time
year.
next year,
Yeah.
and maybe my answer will be different. But I need to see Carson bounce back before I'm willing to commit to him for 5 years.
Carson Wentz looked so bad this year. Like, so bad.
Yes.
I mean, I can't express how bad it was. When they were on TV and I was watching games, I'm like, oh my God.
I watched a game against Dallas and I was like, good Lord.
That's the one that keeps coming to my mind too.
Like, he was bad.
I'll take Baker, but I'm kind of in the same boat. You ask me next year, it might be different.
That defense in Indy is very, very legit.
I mean, he goes to Indy and they're a contender.
They were a contender with Phillip Rivers.
As bad as he played last year, he goes to Indy, and people are thinking that they could go further than what they did this year.
Yep.
So that's what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that is. I am definitively Baker Mayfield for the next 5 years over Carson Wentz. But like I said, I've never been a big fan. So
right.
All right, next one.
Baker or Jared Goff?
I take Baker. I think Baker 5 years with Kevin Stefanski will be better than Goff 5 years with Fred Flintstone in Detroit.
Jesus.
We don't have to spend a ton of time here because we agree to me, this is a no-brainer. Jared Goff got a flash in the pan season with McVay and then was back downhill, and he's just not that good.
I feel like Detroit's so dysfunctional.
Man, and they got weapons.
Yeah.
They have weapons in Detroit on the offensive side. They just don't have anybody there that knows how to use them anyway.
A lot of talk, though, is that Galladay's gone. Marvin Joe's going to be gone.
I saw a thing that the Browns were going to let Higgins walk and they were going to sign Marvin Jones.
Man, I really like Hollywood, though. But Marvin Jones is a
good.
baller.
That's an improvement.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Baker over Goff because Goff blows. Next.
Yeah.
Baker or Big Ben?
I take Baker. I'm out on Big Ben. And I think Baker works harder than Ben. I would move off Big Ben, so I take Baker.
Oh, and Big Ben's going to be about 59 years old.
Again,
Yeah.
Big Ben, Hall of Famer, but not right now. It's not.
It's
Yeah.
crazy
Right
how
now.
quickly it turned around in like 6 weeks. They went 11-0, and everybody was just like crown them.
Yeah, Chase Claypool taking the league by storm. You know, it's at this point in Big Ben's career, you can't take him over. I mean,
5 years from now, he might not even be able to like put shoulder pads on.
yeah, not by himself.
Yeah. So this is Colin's right here.
Yeah.
Baker or Matthew Stafford?
I think Stafford's a much better talent. Yeah. You know, Stafford has a stat. I saw this. Let me look this one up. Stafford has the most game-winning drives, 36 in the NFL in the last decade. How? He plays for the
They're
Lions. How's
usually
that?
trailing.
Yeah.
How old Stafford?
33.
Okay.
So this was the guy.
I wondered. When I looked down the list after, who was it? Joe Burrow. This is the one I had pegged for you.
I really like. I think Matthew Stafford's super good. And
I like
and he's
Stafford.
played on a dumpster fire of a franchise his entire career, and he's still been really good. To have the most game-winning drives in a decade, and you play for an abysmal organization like the Lions, we saw him do it against the Browns with a separated shoulder.
Yeah.
I had a separated shoulder once. I couldn't even hardly dance and drink at Justin's wedding. And
Me
this
either.
dude led a game-winning touchdown drive. So this is the guy where I would probably take Stafford.
Now, what about the injury history?
He plays through him almost all the time.
See, I hear people say that, but I feel like they never finish the season with him. I feel like there's always the last 4 or 5 games.
Because they're 2-12, so
That's
That
true.
and he's getting sacked every fourth drop back because he plays for Detroit. I think that obviously if he was still in Detroit, it's not even close. I'm taking Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
I'm looking for him
But-
to have a big season.
but him playing-
I think he will.
But him now playing in LA
with McVay.
and with
that
those weapons
defense.
and that defense, I'm going
And
Stafford.
good for him because honestly, he deserves it.
he does
He
deserve
deserves
it.
to be on a good team and have an actual chance. He might not win a Super Bowl, but having a real opportunity. He never had that in Detroit.
No,
he wouldn't.
He's a super classy dude too. Like
Yeah.
he's a good dude. And
Imagine some of the numbers he would have put up in Detroit if Calvin Johnson doesn't retire at age 21.
they weren't the worst franchise ever and Chase arguably would have gone on to be the greatest receiver of all time, forced him to retire early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to your point too, since 2010, he's played every game, every season except for one season.
Really?
Yeah, he's just playing through it. He missed
Okay,
8
I
games
guess-
last year for the back. I remember his
In
back was broken like Mike Tyson style.
All right, so you're saying that was 20.
Final.
That was 2019.
2019. He
Okay,
missed
so the last
8
2
games.
seasons he's had some injuries. I thought it was more than that. So
He played
my
every
bad.
game last year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
Well,
I'm taking in this is I've just always been a Stafford fan. Again, don't jump down my throat, Browns fans, but next 5 years I would take. I've just seen Matthew Stafford been doing it his whole career.
On a very bad team.
Yes.
I mean, they're set up in LA to make a serious push.
Yep.
A serious Super Bowl run.
Anything else on Stafford?
Nope.
Okay.
Baker or Mitchell Trubisky?
Baker. Mitch Trubisky's a very limited thrower. I think Baker can make big-time throws. There's things I worry about Baker. He's not the athlete he thinks he is, but he makes big-time throws, and I think Trubisky's limited as a thrower of the football.
Okay, hang on a second. Which clip was it just a little bit ago that he said Baker doesn't make big throws?
Kirk
I
Cousins,
haven't
think.
seen Baker make the big throws.
No,
Okay.
Colin's a cherry picker. But I wanted to say, Colin, Mitchell's won like 65% of his games.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, obviously very limited when it comes to throwing the football. What all the guy does is win.
Yeah.
He finds a way. Now he's got the Bears defense that he's played with all this time, but you look at some of the weapons. They have Allen Robinson, but then they have a bunch of little small guys. I mean, Taylor Gabriel was their number 2 for a few years.
He's a Browns reject.
Yeah, I mean, so Mitchell Trubisky, I like him. I think he's a good guy. Now, is he a franchise quarterback? No, but I mean, the guy does win games. I feel bad knocking the guy who almost wins 70% of the games he starts.
I'm pretty sure Allen Robinson's not going to be there next year either.
No,
So,
there's a team rumored that he might go to, and
Baltimore.
yeah, I hope not.
I think anybody who goes to Baltimore, as far as receivers concerned, though, is going to be
They're not going to be good. They're going to
super disappointed.
Yep. Anybody who's
Mitchell
watched.
Trubisky was disappointed or Lamar Jackson.
Well, that's the thing. So Allen Robinson's gripe is he's never played with a good quarterback. You had Blake Bortles, and then he had Mitch Trubisky. Okay, I know Lamar Jackson was the first guy that Cowherd talked about here, but you don't want to go play there either. They
Unless
don't
you
throw
wanna-
the ball very much, and when they do,
Unless you want to be a blocker.
right. Yeah, I don't know. But anybody who's watched Trubisky knows this one's not Trubisky.
No.
It's
Baker.
Baker. And last but not least,
Next 5 years, Baker or the GOAT?
Tom Brady. First of all, Tom Brady will be great next year.
Right.
And you imagine because of his work ethic, he'll be good the following 2. I couldn't give a rip the last 2. If Brady gives me 3 more years, 1 A-, 2 B+, do we know that Baker's going to get a contract extension in Cleveland? We don't.
It sucks because if you told me, hey, we'll give you just one championship, 1 Super Bowl, I'd be like, sign me up. Put my signature on that contract.
Tom-
you mean like Tampa Bay?
Like a deal with the devil.
worked pretty
I'm making
well.
that
If
deal.
Tom Brady came to Cleveland this year, I mean, we're Tampa Bay of this year. And so this is so hard
It's not necessarily talent, too, because it's just the entire Tom Brady impact that he has on the entire
he's the Patriot
organization.
way.
Yeah.
I think we learned that kind of this
Right.
year, that he was the Patriot way.
Like,
So much.
I mean, imagine Tom Brady on our team. The Buccaneers got good once they started going play action, that kind of. That's literally the staple of our offense.
Is he going to be able to go out there, though, and cover somebody or make a tackle? Because Tampa Bay's defense is way, way better than ours.
But
Yeah.
and you have to think at some point he's going to not be good. But we've been
I
saying
don't
that
know,
for
man.
literally
5 years?
forever.
Yeah.
And he just so who knows? But I a lot of people probably argue because he's so old. But I'll go with Colin. You got a chance to get the GOAT. You put the GOAT on your team.
Yeah, I'm not going against the GOAT. And the argument that you could have made for Baker, Colin kind of said, so you couldn't be like, oh, yeah, he's thinking Tom's going to play till he's 50.
Yeah.
He kind of said, you're going to get 2-3 years out of him. You take those 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, because it might be 2 to 3 Super Bowls.
And then most likely Baker had to go play somewhere else. Didn't work out. We could just sign him back.
Well done.
Yeah, Brady and Belichick both had something to prove this year, that they didn't need each other to win. One of them proved it. The other one did not.
Jury's still out.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the field.
All right.
For Colin.
Well, hey, we really want to know what you guys had to think about what Colin had to say. That was some of our opinions. Give us some of your opinions. Call into the show, thedogspodcast.com. Leave us a voicemail because we really want to hear what you guys had to say about that.
One last bit of news, though. We did see the other day that Hollywood put out, what was it, on Instagram or something?
Send the papers.
Yeah,
right?
he said, Andrew Berry, send me the papers. I'll sign them. So
we'll see.
Let us know what you guys think out there. Do we need to bring him back? Do we need Hollywood?
Hollywood wasn't specific, so I'll send those papers with the league minimum over to you, and you just sign them.
Because what he said, I never gave up on y'all. Don't give up on me.
Right.
So, all right. Well, thanks for checking out another episode of The Dogs. Remember to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please subscribe on YouTube. As I just mentioned, please leave us a voicemail on our website, thedogspodcast.com. Let us know what you think about Colin, quarterbacks, and anything else Browns related. Before we get out of here, remember to show your balls some love. Head over to manscaped.com. Use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Get yourself a Lawnmower 3.0 or the Perfect Package 3.0. Thanks for checking out Season 2 of The Dogs, and we'll see you all next week.